Welcome to a very special episode of Cactus Corp Plays Super Mario Odyssey. My name is Kevandre.
My name is Bobby. Today is Tuesday.
Yeah, we usually record on weekends, but we just went and saw Hobbs and Shaw.
Yep, it is Tuesday, August the 6th.
Yeah.
And around here, Tuesday is like cheapo movie ticket day.
Yes.
So we didn't pay full price to go see it, and I would have felt even more ripped off if we had.
Yes. But because we needed to talk about this movie when it was still fresh, and we wanted to talk about it while it's on the channel, what better time than now?
Right, and we could use an extra episode of Odyssey to get sort of caught up on our schedule anyway.
We like to get ahead.
Now, a little bit of background on this. A while ago, before we started the channel, or like right when we started the channel? A little bit before, right?
It must have been around that time, yeah.
Okay.
Was that already 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think so.
Fuck me.
Anyways, Kevandre and I made a deal. We would sit down and watch all of the Fast and Furious movies. In exchange, I had to make him watch Fan 4 Stick.
I was morbidly curious about the Fast and the Furious movies because I'd never seen them. And, you know, they must have done something right if they made fucking 8 of them. So, we watched them. And I believe that we've talked about this in detail before.
We have. We are meaner than CinemaSins when it comes to these movies. Especially if we're able to watch them at home and I can just rant out loud the entire time. So, that's awesome. I didn't get a chance to do this. This time, we saw it in the theater. And it wasn't like a private theater or anything like that, so I just had my little notebook and a pen, and I didn't even have a light, so it's all sort of weird scribbly notes. So if I'm struggling to read what I wrote, that's why.
Most of the time he was, like, writing it while staring daggers at me.
For making me watch this movie.
Yeah.
How rude.
So, you know. Also, we're at New Donk City now.
Hooray! New Donk City. It's Bowser's ship.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so for a bit of additional details, we went to the...
So, keep in mind, we are probably going to spoil the shit out of this movie.
Yeah, all the spoilers. We're not gonna do it like Source to Screen and say spoilers after we did it.
We have done that.
Yeah, we have, but we're not gonna do it this time.
Oh,
that being said, there's not a whole lot of things to spoil in this movie. See,
true.
For something to be spoiled, it has to have decent plot.
Right.
And it didn't have it. Anyways, so, my little notebook here. You hear pages rustling, that's me flipping through it. You're going to hear a lot of pages.
Some background before anything. Hobbs and Shaw is a spin-off of the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Oh yeah, for the people who might not know about it.
Once upon a time was about, you know, stealing electronics in your fancy car.
Right, and then family and Corona.
Yeah. And now we're to a point where there's, you know, mass hysteria. There's viruses that could wipe out the entire world.
Right.
It's become something else entirely.
Right. Neither Hobbs nor Shaw were in the original movie.
Right. So Hobbs is a formerly CIA.
It was like a formal special ops kind of dude. Because I want to say
something.
He showed up like in the 5th movie, I think, hunting down those people in Brazil.
Yeah.
Or something like that, right?
Yeah. So he's shown up in like 3 or 4 of the Fast and Furious regular movies.
Right.
And Shaw, Jason Statham, was a bad guy whose brother was the bad guy in a previous Fast and Furious movie that Vin Diesel and friends resulted in the death of.
Yes.
And so Shaw killed Han in Tokyo Drift, and then, you know, the rest of the movies were prequels to that or something.
Yeah, it gets kind of fucking dumb.
Anyway, you don't know that he killed him in that until like way later. It's stupid, but anyway. So then in Fast and the Furious 8, they have to work together for reasons I don't remember.
Right, because it's a big enough threat.
Right, and that was the best part of the movie was both Hobbs and Shaw, right? Because Hobbs had a dope scene on the soccer field with his daughter, and Shaw had a dope scene in the airplane, and those were the only good parts of the movie. And I use good with air quotes, though they're figurative air quotes, so it's double air quotes because I'm holding a controller. So I don't have hands to use.
Hobbs and Shaw takes place after all of that, so they've already worked together. They've already done all that. They
still hate each other.
Absolutely. And that's 90% of the dialogue in the movie.
That is exactly what that is. Look at Nando's tweets about it. It's just like, hey, the entire movie is, hey, you're big. Hey, you're British.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. Hey, fucking asshole.
That's pretty right.
Yeah.
Okay, but so let's on to the notes. One thing that I like to start off with is that the trailers. Because trailer number 1 was for a movie called Ad Astra with fuck people.
Fuck people, yeah. I already forgot all about it.
Right. It has to do with space and bad things in space.
Oh, with Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt, there we go.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of his name. Okay. Trailer number 2 was for the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie that nobody cares about.
No, a lot of people care about that.
Well, they're wrong. Trailer number 3 was about Rambo: Last Blood, which only,
people who were around in the 80s care about.
Right.
Which should mean Bobby.
I don't care about that movie. Oh. I don't care about that movie because people I hated really like that movie, so I hate that movie. All of Rambo's are just awful.
The best part of Rambo is the UHF skit where Weird Al is Rambo.
Yes, I can agree with that. Trailer number 4 was for Star Wars Episode 9. Nothing new there. It's not a new trailer.
It's the same trailer, yeah.
Trailer number 5 was for some new Christopher Nolan movie, like Tenet.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it, and it's coming out in a fucking year.
Right.
Why are they advertising it now?
And there's not really any decent details in the trailer.
I mean, I'm gonna see it because it's Chris Nolan and it's not Dunkirk. But
right.
Aside from that,
the next trailer was for a movie called 1917, which is a war movie with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
He has a mustache, so I'm gonna go see it.
Of course.
Any movie where he has facial hair, I'm down for. If he doesn't, I don't care. That's an odd metric to judge it by, but it works.
Yeah, you're a little strange.
Yeah, look, fuck you. It's a pattern, and it works. And the next one was for a movie called Queen and Slim.
Yeah, and I had to look up the dude. I knew that he was in Get Out, but I was like, I haven't seen Get Out, and I know that guy.
Yeah.
I had forgotten that he was, like, the friend in Black Panther.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You're right. That looks interesting.
Yeah, it actually looks like pretty good. I wouldn't mind checking that out. Maybe not in the theater, but I'll probably watch it on like Netflix.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so all my little weird ass chicken scratch. Okay, so it opens up and they're talking about it's MI6 agents breaking into this thing to steal some sort of virus thing, and it's in a little bitty thing. And it's like, you gotta fire electric rounds only. Who the fuck fires electric rounds?
Look, man.
That's
would be pretty dope if you could have those.
You know what else would just be dope?
Rounds.
Actual bullets. Why are they going super easy on the super bad guys with a virus that could destroy the world? Makes no goddamn sense. Use real bullets. Anyways, the girl who ends up...
The girl.
Right. I cannot for the life of me remember her name.
Hattie.
Okay. I'm probably going to exchange the character's name with the actual actor's name, and that's going to happen a few times. Because whenever I was writing shit down, it was just whichever one I could recall at the time. So, Hattie activated a grenade by pulling the pin with her teeth, which, no. Then, when she's going after the virus thing inside the little thing, she takes off her helmet in an active, shooting environment, even with electric rounds. Why? Because she's one of the stars. You got to be able to see that face.
Of course.
Right. Then she, hacks into the little virus canister thing, because of course she does. Not only is she a MI6 elite super badass, she's also a #1 world-class hacker. Lead hack source.
Yeah, I could use her here against this robo.
Yeah, that comes up later, by the way. Anyways, then Idris Elba shows up, and he has CGI eyes.
Yeah, CGIs.
Yeah, CGIs. Thank you. That's really good. I should have written that one down.
Yeah,
I didn't get to that one. Right. And he's some sort of super soldier thing, because why not?
Yeah.
And even though a whole bunch of dudes are right up on him, and they all have their guns drawn, he's still just like, no, I'm going to dodge bullets and faster than reflexes. Which is not consistent throughout the movie at all. So he takes all of them and, oh, hey, look, we're going to fuck you up. And Vanessa Kirby, Hattie, even shoots at him, like, near point-blank range. and she shoots all of her shots right into his outstretched hand, which has body armor, rather than his entirely exposed head, which is totally susceptible to real bullets, by the way. We come to find that one out later. Anyways, she locks the cargo truck internally, which is an odd thing. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm sure it can for security reasons. I'm just saying that, no, that would be very unusual. Then she like crashes. By the way, this is all like in the first 3 minutes.
Right.
Okay. It's gonna take a while for me to get through this shit. I have many problems.
It's gonna be a long episode, friends. Luckily, we're in the longest kingdom.
Right. So,
God damn it!
Stuff happens. Balls. She like drives backwards and all that stuff. She crashes through a wall inside of this little cargo van that's carrying the virus. And okay, it goes farther than I think it should, but it's not super unrealistically far. And it's like, whatever. I'm willing to give it a little bit of the benefit of the doubt there. But then she injects herself with the virus, and then manages to make a clean escape. During this whole time, of which she might have had half a fucking second before Idris Elba gets up and goes to the van and kills her ass, she manages to do all that. So Idris Elba walks super, super slow when it's plot relevant.
Yeah.
He is
Look,
not...
man, don't worry about time in this movie.
Yeah.
We will return to that.
Yeah. So he's a terrible soldier when it's plot relevant. But he's a super amazing soldier who can one-hit KO the Rock when it's plot relevant.
Yeah, but also, in this scene, he's chasing her down and like fighting her truck or whatever, and then trying to find her in the wreckage of the truck after it crashes. And all the while, one of the other MI6 guys is apparently just crawling himself across the ground.
That was my next point. Yeah, he's taking forever to get to a walkie-talkie that's nowhere near him. What happened to his walkie-talkie?
Yeah.
That shit's strapped to you. Did he just unstrap it and throw it away so he could crawl to it?
What the fuck? Trash.
Right? So I have written here just the word boo. Then Idris Elba walks into like back to the warehouse and he's like, oh, she got away. How dare she be like clearly only able to be like 10 fucking feet away. You could look down the alley and would obviously have to be able to see her.
Right.
But no. Instead, he walks back into the warehouse to his self-driving motorcycle.
Yeah, this motorcycle shit, it bothered the crap out of me.
Right? It just drives up to him all on its own, stays perfectly balanced, and it's like, oh, okay. And that's it. There's not explaining it. It's just, hey, this is super tech that only he has. I'm assuming there might be a cutscene where there's like his little internal CGI stuff interfacing with the motorcycle, and he has a way to call it to him.
No, man, it's all in the sequel. Look, they set up for a sequel so hard.
Yeah, and they're gonna get it.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Even though there are only like 13 people in the theater with us, and it's Tuesday.
True, it's probably because it's Tuesday.
Yeah, it's super cheap seats Tuesday.
Well, I'm gonna get some jump rope because it's Final Fantasy IX.
That works. So yeah, it's pretty awful. And other things like drones later on, he has to say drones activate. He doesn't have to say that for the motorcycle. It just shows up whenever. Oh, and it can morph, which is interesting to note, and is pretty much indestructible. And there's something else. Okay, so going on. You get this little side-by-side things with Hobbs and Shaw showing how similar and how different they are. So, Hobbs is all like, oh, I drive trucks and work in the gym and go Team America. And Shaw is all like, super classy, very British. Yes, drive fancy cars. That's it. Then, suddenly we're in London. And they both get like a little call saying, oh, you gotta go here and investigate this thing. That's great. And they each have to go to like a club.
Cock and penis and fucking...
Turns out they're both assholes when it comes to alcohol. Shaw just grabs a champagne bottle off of a waitress's thing. Because why not? Hobbs takes 2 shots at once and doesn't put the glasses down or anything. He keeps walking and chucks them behind him into an active club. He's not there to destroy the whole club, just like 3 guys. So, dicks. Anyways, gratuitous, cliche fight scenes. They keep on mentioning, they find the bad guys, they do the little fight scenes, they get to the main person that they're after, and it's 2 separate people in 2 separate clubs. One is in London, one's in America. But, the side-by-side imagery. And then they keep on talking about, the dark web and dark tech and all that stuff. So, silly little buzzwords that don't actually mean a thing.
I'm a little sad that we're doing this Hobbs and Shaw thing now, because Bobby's not even going to question why this guy has a parking spot just on the top of the building for this motorcycle, this moped.
I assume he's related to Idris Elba, and that motorcycle will just drive up there wherever he wants it. So he needs a parking spot that's just convenient, nearby, wherever he's at.
And then he summons the Bifrost.
Right. So The Rock, because he's supposed to be a good guy, is actively flirting with this tattoo parlor girl while torturing.
Yeah, he probably shouldn't be torturing.
Right. This dark web dealer dude. Yeah. Awesome. It's great. It's fucking dumb. Alright. So, then... Shaw goes to visit his mom in prison, and then you figure out, oh yeah, brother surprise and all that stuff. Blah, 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 blah. And then you have The Rock in like a diner, and he's also talking about his family and all that stuff with his daughter, because apparently he hasn't seen his family for 25 years.
Yeah. How old is The Rock?
I don't know.
Alexa, how old is The Rock? She's not.
Dwayne Johnson is 47 years old. He was born on May
Alexa,
2nd,
stop.
1970.
Okay, so he hasn't seen them since he was 22.
Okay, fair enough.
That being said, there's a lot of people when he eventually does meet his family, and there's no way some of them are 25. So, that's interesting.
Oh, well, his mom just kept on pumping him out.
Yeah. Right, she has like 500 children.
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious, but also, like, that's probably just real.
Yeah. Like, no lie, that's pretty real. And, so... Then The Rock's there at the cafe, and then all of a sudden, like, food shows up after he's trying to explain this thing, and it takes 4 people to deliver the amount of food that he eats. His daughter gets like a little bitty stack of pancakes, and he gets ginormous plates because it's his cheat day.
Yeah, and that's a classic Rock joke.
Right.
He always, posts about his cheat days being legendary, and he's just got like a metric fuck ton of pancakes.
Right.
In every image.
And since The Rock was a producer, you get a lot of Rock jokes. Then we go back. Shaw talking to Helen Mirren in prison. Prison is like being retired for her, so prison's no big deal.
Did we see her go to jail? I don't remember her going to jail.
I don't think we saw her go to jail. I think she's just in jail in this movie.
Okay. Did they say what she did?
Being a bitch.
Oh.
Being related to Shaw.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. So, yeah, for her, prison is like being retired and all that stuff. And she's in like the full chains thing, and they're having to do the talk on the the phone thing. But they can totally just hand shit to each other and touch hands underneath the phone thing. Pretty much, they get prison wrong because that's not how prison works.
I've never been to British prison, so I'm not really sure.
Okay. Anyways.
Or any prison.
It's possible that that's not how British prison works, that they're a lot more lax. But I've visited people in prison. I've played chess with people in prison. That ain't how fucking prison works. So, during this entire exchange with his mom, they're just talking about his sister, Vanessa Kirby. They not once mention his dead-ass brother.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for it the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, they do mention it. Not during that visit, but they do, mention him once.
Once. At the very, very end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it the whole time.
That's it. Like, the whole time with his mom. It's like, oh, you used to play with her and you were little and all that stuff. I'm like, did he not play with his brother?
No, in the flashbacks, they do show another kid. There's 3 of them. There's the 2 boys and the girl. It's just primarily showing her in the flashbacks to when they're kids.
They still pretty much just don't mention him. So he's not a real character. Then Ryan Reynolds shows up. He's the best part of the movie. No complaints there.
Yeah, I didn't see him coming.
Yeah.
He just rolls up all smooth and is just Deadpool.
Yeah. Like, no shit. He's Deadpool. It's great. He talks about, what it takes to put a brick through somebody. Just pushing. It's awesome. He is by far the best part of the movie. He's the main redeeming quality. But he's just sitting there talking to Hobbs about a whole bunch of CIA secrets and shit. And handing over classified files.
In the middle of a diner.
In the middle of a very active diner.
His daughter.
Right. Like, it's no big deal. Okay. Sure. They give him a photo of a scientist that they believe created the virus. We learn later that this believed to created the virus thing has 2 Nobel Prizes. You don't believe at that point. You know what that person's up to. There's no believing about it. And he's not, like, hiding away. He wasn't, like, kidnapped a while ago. Nah, he's just walking around in London buying newspapers and shit.
I mean, he like, escaped from them, though. And he was, like, very hidden in London.
Nah, he's just walking around buying newspapers and shit. They have a photo of him buying a newspaper. And they catch him buying that same fucking newspaper.
And apparently Shaw knows the only place in London to buy a Russian newspaper.
Right. But we're getting to that. Anyways, I have a note here that just says Ryan Reynolds is awesome.
It is true.
Yep. Some more extra notes. Then they're talking about the sister and trying to track her down. They have this whole little, oh, they're coming together scene because Hobbs and Shaw finally meet up in the CIA, like, black site building. Which I have problems with because it's not like a normal house in the middle of the suburbs like a lot of them are. It's not some weird little condo shit that they actually have. It's not something in the middle of nowhere. It's a full-on skyscraper decked out in, like, modern wear, and it's a whole bunch of, like, glass walls and shit. That's not what happens. People are dumb. Anyways, so I just have no fucking way written there.
He probably has that on every page.
Yeah. And of course they're so similar. It does that constantly throughout the movie. Oh, they hate each other, but they're the exact same person. One's just British and one's really tall.
Yeah, one's British and kind of evil, and the other one is just really tall and also The Rock.
Right. So...
And they really played up this whole Rock thing.
Yeah.
Like
Like
the eyebrow thing.
Yeah, they do an eyebrow thing. They do his Samoan ancestry and all that stuff. Yeah, it gets ridiculous. So, Shaw goes to his sister's house that he hasn't seen in forever, apparently, because they don't talk to each other.
And Helen Mirren is yelling at him to talk to his sister.
Right. So he goes to her house, notices all the booby traps that an MI6 agent has, because of course. She just makes super obvious booby traps that also, by the way, would not work.
The grenade tied to the door?
Yeah. I don't think you understand how much pressure it takes to pull the pin on a grenade.
0.
It's a good deal more than 0. It is many pounds of force.
Not from my experience.
How many grenades have you pulled?
Hello, kitty. I got a cat here now.
I'm gonna guess it's 0. Anyways.
Look, man, I've eaten a grenade. It
Right.
was an apple.
And then The Rock just goes over to, like, the analyst dude, and he's a dick to the analyst dude, because of course he is.
He has to be a dick to everybody. That's his whole
right.
thing.
And he, does the whole point out, oh, where aren't the cameras watching? Because it's a very clear connected route of where the cameras aren't watching. Because of course it is. That's how London do. And he's like, yeah, she's obviously here, because she ain't waiting to get her picture taken. Or he actually said, she ain't waiting for no picture.
Well, that is just English.
Those are words that he said in a movie that he produced where he had say over the script. So,
and he says the word "some bitch" like 10 times.
Yeah. Because she is an MI6 agent, inside of her house, she has all the secret stuff. Everything is a secret panel to unlock some, like, supercomputer or a wall full of all the goddamn guns. And everything has, like, a gun in it, so that's fine. Now, let's see. I'm trying to figure out what I did to do. Gur is bullshit. She just...
Fucking penis?
Oh, yeah. Then there's The Rock actually ends up just walking in on her, just like, oh hey, here you are. I knew you were going to be back on the outside of this hotel, clearly in disguise, because that's what happens.
He said that I'm the best there is at finding people, or something like that. He's the best finder that they have.
Right. Which
so he is Hufflepuff, so it works out. It all checks out. I do agree.
No. Anyways, so
that's what Hufflepuffs are good at.
Okay. Anyways, it's all bullshit, but then they get into a fight. And she has absolutely no chance. Now, I know some people are underneath the impression that, an extremely skilled fighter can take on anybody, and that's kind of true. But a good big fighter is always going to beat a good little fighter. She is very small. He is very big. She would go down hard. And
then he's going to go down hard.
Right. He's very obviously going easy on her. And she just keeps, like, throwing shit at him, like, oh hey, take this paint can, and then, oh hey, I'm gonna throw this car battery at you, and for some reason that's a big deal.
Yeah, he didn't like that.
Right? I don't understand. Like licking the dipstick in a car.
They don't like that.
Yeah. So that's a thing.
Yeah, so it's just like, oh, it's going to be hard to find her, and then he immediately just finds her.
Right.
There was like, oh, okay, so what was the entire point of that?
Right, and then she's supposed to be this, you know, big badass fighter chick, and then no, she's not. At least not in this fight. So then we cut back to Shaw inside of her house, you know, snooping around, being all creepy, and multiple guys with guns completely get the drop on him. They sneak up behind him, and it's very obvious he stands no chance. So naturally, he beats the living shit out of all of them.
Right. But, you know, it's flashing, you know, lights in there, and it's all dark, and he knows the way that it's all set up.
Okay, let me be clear on how this works. Multiple guys with guns from different angles are staring you down. And if you move, they shoot you.
Alright, let me tell you
something
something
So he moves, they shoot him, he dies.
He's Jason Statham.
Yeah, I know, and he also produced the movie. So,
yeah.
Whatever.
I've seen that one movie that he was in.
Yeah. Then it keeps on cutting back. It cuts back and forth between the fight with like Shaw and the guys that get a drop on him, and Vanessa Kirby and The Rock. She does a growly face. Ooh.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's not great, though. I will admit, she has a good growly face.
Yeah.
It's not good for the scene, but I do like her growly face.
I do like her.
Yeah.
Let's make that clear right now. I really was a fan of her in this movie.
Yes. Anyways, then the Jason Statham fight goes on, and it's fine. But then, oh no, they tripped one of the grenades at some point during the fight. So he has to do like a little dive to try and catch it. And whenever he catches it to sort of deactivate it, which isn't normally a thing, that's not really how most grenades work, but let's assume this one, for some reason, works that way, sure. Even still, when he catches it, after it's been on the ground and the pin's been removed and it's very obviously about to explode, he grabs it, and then it makes a little pachoo noise. Because that's how grenades do. Fuck you, sound editor. And we are so not even that far into this movie, and it's only 27 minutes. Jesus Christ, I took a lot of notes.
Yeah, he did.
Non-stop. Okay, and then The Rock and Vanessa Kirby have this little interrogation scene, and he's like, oh no, you're not the killer, because when we were fighting, you were fighting to run away. At no point did she run away.
No, he was right, though. That is what she was doing. She was just trying to beat him so that she could get the fuck out of there. She never thought that she was going to be able to actually win.
Here's an idea. She could have just run away.
Yeah, he probably has good acceleration.
She literally just ran away from a super soldier that could one-hit KO him. She could run away from The Rock.
No.
Oh, okay, I guess
She smelled
not.
what he's cooking.
She did not.
Oh.
Anyways.
Because he went to the diner.
Yeah. Then he, leaves her in a room with somebody else, like, hey, if she moves, shoot her twice in the face. And it's kind of a funny scene.
Yeah, and she's like, hey, you'll go to jail if you do that.
And he's like, nope, shoot her right in the face. And it's kind of funny. Okay, there is some good humor in this movie, don't get me wrong. And then he leaves this very clear, room in that CIA black site building that he's been interrogating Vanessa Kirby in. Calls his daughter up and it's like, hey, this, love you and all that stuff. And in the back, she kind of tricks this dude to getting close, and then she starts beating the living hell out of this little new CIA agent dude that The Rock left in there. And there is no way the room that they were in was soundproof, but they sure do try to play it off like that.
I know, right? I'm like, yeah, okay.
Right? She slams him up against the walls at one point, and it just super flexes. There's no mass to those walls at all. And also, they're not, sealed at the corners or anything. So, no. And then, oh, hey, look, and Shaw shows up, and oh, that's my sister, and blah, 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 and then, oh, the windows boom in. Because, of course, they do. Idris Elba shows up through the blown-out window with no helmet on, because, of course, why would you break into a CIA building with a bulletproof helmet near all the people with guns that are going to be shooting at your face? Because he's star material.
Of course.
Anyways, so they managed to kidnap Vanessa Kirby, and then they start doing this sort of Australian rappelling down the side of the building.
Running down the side of the building.
Right.
That was in one of the trailers.
Right. Now, Australian rappelling is a real thing. I've done it, and you can set it up like that to where you can do that. So that's
You've done that?
Yeah, I've done rappelling. That's part of ROTC stuff.
No, that was me. I was in ROTC.
No, you weren't.
Look, man, we've had this discussion.
We have, and you're still wrong about it.
I guess I didn't know.
Yeah, I haven't done it down the side of the building. It was like training.
Okay, I was going to say that's not the same.
Right. No, not down the side of the building. It was much more controlled and safe than that. But I have done a couple of different rappelling types, which is cool. So, it looks ridiculous. You can do it that way. I don't think you can do it quite like they did in the movies. I would have to...
The Rock is probably, like, way dead from all the things that he was doing.
Oh, hold on. We're getting there.
Okay.
I'm talking about, like, how they had the rope tied and all that stuff. I would have to look at it to make sure, because I couldn't pause it, and it was sort of going the fast scene. So, anyways.
And there are far more bullshit tethering things in this movie, so we'll get to those.
Yeah. So, The Rock and Shaw go there, and it's like, okay, we gotta do this, and 1, 2, 3, and then The Rock just grabs onto the rope and starts following after him, which, that's a bad plan.
No! I'm an idiot.
And then Shaw just goes to an elevator, does something to the elevator, and the elevator just starts falling. Breakneck speed. That's not how elevators work. I don't care what you do. That elevator
It was also very convenient that there was just an outside elevator right there.
Yeah. That's not how elevators do.
Look, man, I took control of this fucking thing, so...
Yeah. And then The Rock sort of just, like, lets go of the rope so he can, like, dive faster. And then he'll grab onto a person that's repelling, because there's 3 of the guys that
Yeah, he just fucking, like, jumps down and grabs them. And I'm like, bro!
Right?
Like, maybe let's not do that.
Right. It's not good. So then they eventually get down to the bottom through bullshit physics. And then there's cyber guns. And this is, like, the first real instance that we really see them, where it has this little unlock thing on him. And Shaw grabs one and he notices it and all that stuff, and it's a little early. They don't really explain it, but whatever. And
yeah, so that they can't lose their gun and have anybody just use it. It has to be somebody who has the unlockable, like, fob on them, basically.
Right. Which, is dumb.
I mean, I could see it, just for safety's sake, right? It makes sense, actually. Like, it's a good way to prevent your kids from being able to use your guns if they have to have the fob on them. I think it makes sense. Let's hashtag make that real.
No, it's very dumb.
That's a good idea.
And it's very dumb for a reason that happens later in this film.
Yeah, and it was a great call.
Anyways, so, yeah, cyber guns. Why the fuck? That's not a good thing.
Yeah, and remember, this is a Fast and the Furious movie.
Right.
Don't forget that at any point during this discussion.
Right. So, it turns out that Shaw and Idris Elba know each other. Apparently. Brixton. Yeah, Deckard and Brixton. And I think this is the first time you hear Idris Elba's character's name. So, hooray, they know each other. And it's like, oh, we had a struggle past, and oh, you shot me 3 times. But I'm still alive, and now I'm the Black Superman. Alright.
Yeah, he got Zaided. He got shot in the fucking face and survived.
Right. So, then they enter into a car chase after a fight scene. And it's like, sure, whatever. But it's in London streets during daytime, and the cars are suspiciously placed so that way they can drive around. So, no.
Then they pull some classic Fast and the Furious bullshit where, like, the small-ass car goes underneath the truck.
Right. They have 2 semis crossing each other, so this little bitty lowrider car, McClellan, I think, it does a sideways swerve and goes underneath both semis.
One of the least likely things from this movie happens in this scene, in that The Rock somehow got into that car.
Right, because it's a little
Rock.
It's a little bitty tiny ass McClellan.
Like, I'll give you most actors.
Right.
Jason Statham, no problem.
Yeah.
The Rock in that tiny car with 2 other people in it, and they're trying to escape from somebody on a fucking magic motorcycle.
Right. No, it's not happening.
The Rock.
I have the words here, silly bullocks. So, at one point, Idris Elba's character decides to go down an alleyway to a little shortcut because his robot AI tells him to. And he has to get around a car that's going down the alleyway. So what does he do? His motorcycle rocket jumps up onto the wall. I'm not making that up. That's what happens. I'm just leaving that there. Anyways.
But we're about to start the festival, so we can keep talking, but we need to pay attention to the festival as well, because it's very exciting.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. It's time to raise our sails.
Oh, yeah? What do we do in the festival?
It's just fan service, the festival.
Oh. Well, that's good.
I have this song in my car.
This is an interlude. From the first 30 minutes of the movie.
We will get back to Hobbs and Shaw shortly.
It's going to be a very long episode. I'm sorry, folks.
I don't mind. You know, we're going to do New Donk dirty by talking about Hobbs and Shaw the whole time, but we're also going to do it justice by having a long episode about it.
Yes.
It's already past the point that we usually would stop. But that's okay, because we're not even like halfway through the movie. Hopefully this is not a VOD mute. Anyway. But yeah.
Wow, this is really cool.
I know, right? It's so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like all this Donkey Kong stuff.
Yeah. I mean, this is pretty dope. I'm really liking this.
I also really like that Mario's pixelated form will change with his outfit.
Oh, nice. Well, that's pretty darn cool.
Shoutouts to this chick, I can't remember her name right now, who does the voice of Pauline in this game.
Yeah.
Who's also the voice of Lissa in Fire Emblem Awakening.
Is that right?
That's right.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
I know, right? I'm not delicate. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Excuse me. Physics do not work that way.
Man, we're talking about Hobbs and Shaw. It's fine. Physics don't need to work.
Okay.
Turns out, physics, not a thing.
Excuse you, good sir.
Look, it's the only science I actually did well at, so I know it's a thing. It took me a very long time to find this one, by the way.
I can imagine.
I'm like, I know I missed one, but I cannot figure out where the fuck it is.
Yeah, that seems like a pain in the ass to see.
Yeah. Oh, man.
This is a really cool little bit.
I know, I really, really like it. It's the part that everyone's just like, oh my god, they really put in the work on this game, didn't they?
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, the song in general is amazing.
Yeah, we got it on the playlist in the car.
Yeah.
And I think I've got like 3 covers of it on my personal YouTube playlist.
Foggy is trying to destroy the notebook because he's sick of hearing about Hobbs and Shaw.
You cannot destroy my evidence of hate, Foggy. Nice try.
Well, you need to get out of the fucking way, Pat.
Yeah. But do you want me to keep going? Or wait until...
Let's wait. We're almost done with the festival.
Okay. Oh, little DK coins.
I know, right? It's great. Move aside. Bam, 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 bam. Again, I hope this isn't a VOD mute, because I know that some channels have had to.
Oh, that's rude.
I mean, this song's like on iTunes, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that's fair.
What's up, big boy?
Well, you know, if it does VOD mute, we can just reach out to like Idrisaurus and be like, hey, can we use your version?
Oh yeah, good point. Good point.
And she'll probably be like, who the fuck are you? And we'll be like, just fans. And she'll be like, sure. Because she seems like a cool person. She just would want to... Oh, okay. He got that shuffle.
I like that she actually sings a song too. Like they did the lip syncing.
Well, that's pretty good.
Plus, if you disturb her, she stops singing the song.
That's pretty fucked up.
Anyway, it's great.
Yeah.
Dedicating this festival to you. This whole New Donk City, the whole backstory of it is that all the construction equipment that you're attacking Donkey Kong on in Donkey Kong,
yeah,
is the forerunner to building this city. And obviously Pauline was the victim, and she's the mayor of New Donk City, and all of the street names are named after Donkey Kong characters, and like there's like Banana Bagel Shop and things like that.
Nice.
It's pretty great without DK, aside from the sprite version, ever showing up, and it's kind of great, and I love everything about it. Also, custom fanfare when we get this.
Oh, dope. Yeah, this is some top-notch stuff.
Amazing game. All right, let's continue with the Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay, so at one point during this thing, a motorcycle guy, that is not Idris Elba, just one of the other miscellaneous no-face bad guys, is driving towards their car, so The Rock punches through the window.
Okay, this was pretty dope, though.
And it shatters, like sugar glass, because that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
And he grabs the motorcycle guy. Now, they are going, like, full speed toward each other, and for some reason the motorcycle guy is that close. And The Rock just grabs him off of his motorcycle.
Look, man, I can believe that The Rock could do that.
I don't think you understand how physics works.
I think I understand that The Rock is an exception to most physics.
No.
It's true. He is.
And then he just slams dude like against the wall and manages to get his hand in the tiny time.
Pretty dope.
Dude dies. Anyways, so no. I guess yeah. And then we get to see the. I want to say this is the actual scene where they drive underneath the semis, and then the bike decides to do its morpho thing to also fit.
Yeah, he's like dragging himself behind the bike while holding onto it in like both hands and going underneath the truck.
Yeah, going underneath two semis. And like
two semis that are going opposite directions.
Right, so he has a super narrow space, and the bike decides to just morph on its own.
Yeah.
Okay. When I say morph, it does this weird body shift thing to where like it just shrinks down so that way it can fit and do turns and whatever. It's pretty dumb, and it never explains it. So, science. Anyways, then we get to, they manage to escape. They do the little turn the car around so that way the motorcycle ramps up the McClellan. You know, because a car is just a ramp, then a motorcycle goes up. It's not like it has a grill or anything. So he just runs up it and crashes into a double-decker bus. In case you were wondering if you're in London.
Right.
And then they managed to just drive away on this busted-ass McClellan now that, you know, has sparking tires and all that shit. Because only the bad guys' cars explode.
It is true. Unless it's plot relevant.
Right. And then something, a little bit of talking, and then it shows Idris Elba in the main bad guy lair. And he goes into like this giant stadium room.
He's got to talk to the evil council.
Right.
Evil council.
Yeah. So he has this packet and he's talking to him like he's the boss and all that stuff. And he's like, oh, hey, what do we have? And they're like, oh, we hacked the mainframe of all the news sites.
Every news.
Yeah, they're like, we have 173 channels. And he's like, double it. It's like, I don't think you understand a single goddamn thing. At all. And so they hack the news sites. Because of course they do. They have all the dark tech and all that stuff. Because that's a thing.
Yeah, dark web, right. Dark tech.
Right. And then
just say the word dark web, you can get away with anything.
Yeah. And that instantly makes like Hobbs and Shaw, you know, they're like, oh, they're the bad guys. They're the ones that went rogue and all that stuff, and they spin this horrible story. And apparently that makes all the world's agencies believe that they're the bad guys. Despite the fact that they're actively working with the CIA, who knows it's bullshit.
Except for Ryan Reynolds.
Except for Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds still believes in them.
Yeah, so, and their friendship is beautiful.
Right. They even get matching tattoos.
Yes.
And best friend necklaces. Yeah.
And he keeps calling him Rebecca.
Yeah. It's not a joke. Anyways, so and then idiom equals dark tech cult. You know, dark money. Everyone thinks they're a myth and controls the media. But Shaw knows them. Like, literally every person we meet coming forward knows everything about this mysterious agency that no one knows about.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
It's fucking bullshit. So, then we get the picture where, you know, Hobbs is like, oh, we've been tracking this dude who is probably the one who put the virus in you. And that's when Shaw looks at it and goes, oh yeah, I know that paper. There's only one place in London you can buy it. That is the entirety of the scene. There's no Googling. There's no, hey, you know, that paper, you know, it's you can really buy that right outside the Russian embassy. As far as I'm aware, that would be a good place to... No, it is straight up, I know where that one very specific paper in this grainy photo is bought from. They go there, guess what? Scientist dude is right there.
Excuse me. Let me step in here.
You son of a bitch.
This place is amazing! All these big buildings everywhere!
You made the cat jump.
I curious to see what was inside, but turns out there was a power moon in there. I hope you like it.
Okay, please continue.
Okay. So yeah. So that's apparently just a thing that happens. It is straight up, hey, I know where that's supposed to be because of that newspaper. They go there, scientist dude is there. Okay. They start interrogating scientist dude. I don't think he ever even gets a name. Anyways.
Yeah, he is just Russian scientist guy.
Right. And then he mentions, I won 2 Nobel Prizes, so, what do I know? It's like, motherfucker, if you have won 2 Nobel Prizes, people know who you are. They keep track of you.
I don't think he be like he is, but he do.
Yeah, they keep track of you. They know what the fuck you're doing. You're publishing shit. That's what you do. Anyways.
Rude.
And then they say dark tech like 20,000 times in that little brief interlude where they're talking to the scientist dude. And I just wrote, dark tech or the dark tech, fuck your dark tech. And then it's just like, okay, well, we need to go someplace where we can get supplies and stuff. So Shaw takes him to like an underground bar place where he has all the cars, all the guns, all the fucking whatever, all the tech, can do everything. Why we didn't start out there to begin with, I have no fucking clue, but that's where he goes. If anything, I'm undercompensating, right, is a thing that gets said about Shaw and all of his stuff. But there's also a modified Mini inside of his garage, and that's a shout out to the Italian Job movie. I wrote in here that I appreciated that, but it's also kind of dumb.
Yeah, because the Italian Job movie is not a good movie.
Yeah. And then they have this whole thing where they're like, oh yeah, we gotta get disguises and all that stuff so we can get out of the country because everybody's sending us. I'm like, but except the CIA, right? You could have this fixed in one phone call, like, hey, CIA people, this is kind of important. Do you have a plane we could use? We could use a plane right now because they need to get out of the country. And no, they just fly commercial after doing some hacking bullshit stuff and other dumb jokes. So, sure, whatever. The Rock's name is Mike Coxmall. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So, anyways. Convenient plot saying flying commercial plane. Let's see. So yeah.
So they're all decked out and in costume to get on the plane, right?
Right.
I'm sure that you wrote this down, but anyway, so they wrote.
Oh, that's what I did try to write down. I couldn't read it. So yeah,
they got on the plane. They're in pretty decent costumes. Well, at least she is anyway.
Right.
And then they get on the plane and immediately take off their costumes.
Before they even sit down, she's out of her wig.
She's back in her usual look, and so is Jason Statham. Mike Coxmall still coming on in the correct look, and then he just takes it all off once he sits down there too, and they
right.
Then they just go ahead and bicker for a while.
Right. Now here's an important thing. Mike Hawksmall, he had his identity created by Shaw, and Shaw obviously didn't want him there, so he sent him over the thing, and it's like, oh yeah, you're instantly flagged, you're not supposed to fly, whatever. So that way he gets rid of Hobbs. Okay. Hobbs just shows up on the plane a little bit later because he got away with it because he's friendly. Now, at the inspection station to get on the plane, here's how this went down. Scan, red light, and then cops were there with guns aiming at him, telling him not to move.
Yeah, and then he just apparently got away.
Right, that's the kind of response you get when you're a terrorist. And you don't friendly your way out of that. So, no, that's not happening. And then we cut to the Russian scientist dude, who Idris Elba just shows up and grabs, because they left the Russian scientist dude alone. Not, hey, okay, thanks for the information, we know what we need to do now. We're going to take you back to the CIA, because you're obviously very important, and we're going to need your help in this, and you shouldn't be allowed to do science on your own ever again, you're a monster. No, they just left him alone. He goes Hobbs in his car and starts to drive away when Idris Elba shows up. That's it. And then they're on the plane, and you have a solid 10 minutes of, you're short, well, you're tall, well, you're British, well, you're an elephant.
It is a little much. Like, I don't blame them for doing it, because they want to really show all of the, we're not friends, we hate each other.
Right.
But
And then there's
at the
also
same time, it's a little much.
There's also I'm not gonna let you fuck my sister. And he's like, well, I'm gonna fuck her if she wants fucking.
Yeah.
So
If she comes to me and says she wants fucking, it's gonna happen.
right, if she wants to climb that mountain, she's gonna be climbing the mountain.
Yeah.
Get it? Because mountain
Captain Kirk is climbing the mountain.
mountain is made out of rock. Anyways, oh yes. And then what was the tiny dude? The
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart. For some
The
reason,
tiny dude.
my dumbass wrote down D.L. Hewley.
D.L. Hewley?
Hewley? How do you pronounce his name?
I'm sorry. Who?
He was a black comedian a while ago. Do you not remember who that is?
I do not.
Anyways, so that's apparently not right.
It was Kevin Hart.
It was Kevin Hart. For some reason, I could not think of his name, so I wrote down the first name that I could think of because
The first black guy he could think of, who was some person that nobody's ever even heard of.
who was also a very small African American comedian who was sharing a similar hairstyle.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Okay. Anyways, so he just shows up and is like, "Hey, I'm the air marshal. By the way, I used to be like all this, and I'm talking in a deep voice now because I'm one of the alpha males." And I just wrote, he can just fuck off in this movie.
I mean, the entire thing is that The Rock and Kevin Hart have like a great bromance that's pretty well documented. So it's like not even surprising that he's just there.
Yeah, but it was a completely unnecessary scene.
True.
Except for one thing that happens later. And then, after all that stuff, and they like, oh yeah, we're just flying to wherever. It cuts to Idris Elba being all, the human body really isn't all that much, and he's torturing the scientist dude with guns and flamethrowers. Not full on torturing, but more torture intimidating. And he's like, yeah, and all this stuff, and a little bit of calcium, a little bit of this. The human body.
He watched Full Metal Alchemist.
He watched a bit of Full Metal Alchemist,
Yeah.
and then he watched South Park because he figures out that the human body comes down to cost about $3.50.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not making that up.
That's what he said. Well, he didn't actually say tree 50, but yeah.
Yeah.
He said £3.50.
Yeah, he said $3.50. Yeah. So, anyways. So it turns out where the Hobbs and Shaw gang were going was over to Russia, because of course they were, for a super high-profile thief. She lives in a mansion. She actively has people tied up and is torturing and stealing from them, because that's what she does. And of course, her entire gang is a whole bunch of femme fatales that are supermodel hot. Because sure.
Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
If I can get this fucking car.
That's what they do. And then they just walk up to her house.
Yeah. And then Jason Statham just starts making out with him. And,
Right.
Like, his sister's like, whoa, I'm so surprised.
Oh, my brother has a libido. Because he's fucking Jason Statham. Of course he does. Come on
Wasn't he,
now.
like, married, though? Like, I want to say that, like, he was, like, married to the chick in the beginning. Like, was that not the case?
I don't recall. Chick in the beginning?
Like, wasn't there a chick in bed with him at the beginning? Like, that I thought was his wife?
I don't think there was any marriage thing.
Maybe.
I think that was just some chick that he was banging.
Oh, fair enough.
Because it was supposed to be that classy, suave
Yeah, he's
Superman.
James Bond.
Yeah. So,
Superman.
The Russian thief, on top of being all super sexy and all that stuff, of course knows everything about Edion, the main bad guy.
She's not even Russian. She's just in Russia. She doesn't have an accent or anything.
Yeah, she's just there, and she knows all about Edion and all that stuff, so she's like, she loads him up with stuff like Kevlar that is super thin and bullet resistant, but not bullet proof. So pretty much it just doesn't do a whole lot. But of course it's going to in this movie. Naturally.
Yeah, it's like hella thin and like...
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's really how Kevlar works, but...
Not really. She has like a special rack just for exactly two Halo skydiving like parachutes and all that stuff. So, high altitude, low oxygen suits. Sure. Okay. They also have like the special infrared thing that lets you see through walls, which fucking no. And then they just go to somewhere in Ukraine that has all of the nuclear cooling towers with all that tech stuff. Because of course. Now here's the thing. It shows them in a plane, and they both eject out of the plane because it's a fighter pilot plane, not just like a plane that you would skydive out of. Because that's smart.
Yeah.
Fortunately, somebody else is piloting the fighter jet, so I didn't have to mark them down for neither of these fuckers could fly a plane if they had to. So they do that. They skydive out. They skydive into one of the cooling towers.
A la Saints Row the Third.
Right? But here's the thing. They don't pull the parachute until they're inside of the cooling tower. No.
But don't worry about it.
Let me be clear. Inside that cooling tower, they fell maybe like 60 feet before they hit a little platform thing that they both landed on perfectly. They're dead.
Maybe Statham.
They're both dead.
No, The Rock is...
They are super, super dead. 100%. Broken everything.
Toad voice fucked me up.
Anyways, yeah, I have a pull their chutes until they're in the damn tower, they would be dead. This black tech site also apparently doesn't have cameras, because they're just walking around on the roofs, knocking people out and killing them. No one notices. The super secretive black tech site and all that stuff, no one cares. No one's watching shit.
Cock and penis and balls and shit.
Yeah. So the whole point is that while they're skydiving in, the girl with the virus inside of her actually went inside there so that way they could take it out of her, and it's, they call it a Mick Jagger, so she drags the attention while they sneak in the back.
Right. They called it the Mick Jagger because one guy is really flashy and distracting while other people do the music.
Right.
It's actually kind of hilarious. I really like that.
Yeah, and it's true. So, we cut back to the inside of the thing where she's now about to have the thing taken out of her, and the Russian scientist dude still has, like, broken lenses from where
they didn't give him new glasses.
Right? And he's just wearing broken lenses. Oh, okay. Sure. Then they set the little special explosives that are supposed to blow up in like 45 minutes. And then they do a solid 2 minutes of just plot explaining of what their plot is after they've set the explosives and activated the timers. That's a good time for that. They do use the little wall scanner to figure out what's behind two doors.
Yeah,
Sure.
you saw that in the trailer too.
Yeah. And this is the part where they each go inside like a separate room and fight the shit out of bad guys. There's a problem there, though. When Hobbs is inside the room with the very big bad guy that he beats the shit out of, there's also a car in there. How'd they get the car in there?
Look, man.
It's a room with two small-ass, very locked doors.
It's just like how Gibbs got the fucking boat out of the basement. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you just lift it up. Lift up the basement, pull the boat out, and you're good.
Of course!
Right? But this one makes no sense. What are you going to do? Lift up the whole cooling tower? No. So, it's dumb. And also, once they use the wall scanner, they don't keep it like, hey, this might come in handy. They just go, alright, fucking enough of that. And they toss it behind them. So then they have their fight, and they're joking around. One thing you don't see in the trailer is that they're still on the fucking timer. They don't have all the time in the world. They need to get going. They need to be, serious adults here. But, no. They stand around fighting. And then they manage to bust out the doors. They both do the scan thing. They finally get out on the other side. And all the bad guys are waiting there for them. Because the Mick Jagger didn't really work. She's just off with the scientist and two other guys getting the thing taken out of her. So whatever. She's no longer active. And then, after all the bullshit that these guys have gone through, catching people outside of car windows, going the opposite direction, being punched around by a Superman who's cybernetically enhanced, two quick, light taps of rifle butts to the back of their heads. Rifle butts to the back of the head, knock them out for a solid 10 minutes each. 'Cause reasons.
So many fucking moons.
Yeah, all the moons. Okay, so they're blacked out. We cut back to her. She is kind of on a table, like she has her arm strapped down. She has a grenade pin in her mouth. I don't know where she got that from. Maybe she's been keeping it in her mouth this entire time, where she pulled it out with her teeth in the very beginning of the movie. I assume that's what's been happening. Because that's the only way it makes fucking sense. And she shows it to the camera, so that way you know she has it. But serves no purpose other than that. There's no reason why she would have done that in like any reasonable function. It's just for the camera. And it just instantly draws you out. It's like, oh, hi there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were we in this movie for its realism?
I was hoping so. But no.
Were you?
Yeah. But I guess not. It gets worse. So, then, the two armed guards there, who, she's trying to talk to them, and of course she knows the Russian or whatever that they're talking in. she's talking to them like, oh, we're gonna give you this, super syringe, and it's gonna knock your ass out. And then she does MI6 bullshit, because they apparently didn't tie her feet down or anything like that, and she just makes them stab themselves with a syringe using just her feet. So they're knocked out.
Yeah, it was very impressive. And I got a little turned on. I'll be real with you.
And then the Russian scientist dude, who is a neutral party in this, and she doesn't knock him out, just says, that shouldn't have been possible. In my head, went, no fucking shit.
Yeah, it was pretty sexy.
Yeah. Still takes out 2 guys. I call bullshit. I have that written down. Then it has Hobbs and Shaw facing each other, tied up to car batteries. And Idris Elba has a little connector plug thingy, so that way he can hold it down, and it shocks both of them. And he says, like, oh yeah, like 3 shocks to kill a man. I bet you guys can get 4. And The Rock's like, I bet we can take 5, so Idris Elba shocks them. Because that's smart. Also, not how electricity works, you dumb fucks. So, whatever. And then Idris Elba goes on this whole thing about, oh, this and this and this, and humankind can't be trusted, blah, 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 blah. And at one point says, genocide, schminicide.
He looked at me when he said that. He's like, genocide, schminicide. I'm Sean Connery.
Right. And I just stared at Kevin, because I knew at this point, everything else I could kind of not really get past, but whatever. It didn't completely ruin the movie. That ruined the bad guy. I could no longer take it seriously at all.
Like, I'll be real with you, he wasn't exactly a great bad guy to begin with.
He was not. So they really don't understand electricity. At one point, Idris Elba was like, what are you talking about, big guy, to The Rock? And The Rock just goes, your mom. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they do another little thing to where, where Vanessa Kirby was escaping with a scientist dude. And then she tries to distract him. Or they're distracting Idris Elba, and then she's like, oh, let him go. And then she has a gun on him. And he's like, oh, why would I do that? And she tries to pull the trigger, but it has that security fob thing. So it doesn't work. And he's like, oh, because you need a little security fob. Because that's a good way to, have safety, is explain your tech to your enemy.
I agree.
So then the little scientist dude shows up with a flamethrower that Idris Elba used to sort of like scare, intimidate, torture him. And he just goes on Idris Elba. And it completely throws him back and sets his ass on fire. Like, you see him fly a good 10 feet back. That's also not how things work.
Look, don't worry about it.
If I could kind of see it if somebody were to say, oh yeah, that was him jumping just backwards from it. But he kind of like did a jump sideways, like he was really punched through the air. And it kind of like, obviously had a little tug suit on, so that way they could pull him back. So yeah, that's not good. So around them, there's 30 guys, all armed, and you get Hobbs and Shaw, who are still tied up, but they're about to break free. You have Vanessa Kirby with a gun she can't use, and a very timid Russian scientist going kind of mad with the flamethrower, but you can tell he doesn't really know how to use it. And the 30 guys around them all armed to the teeth. Naturally, all those people don't fire a damn shot. Hobbs and Shaw break free, beat the shit out of everybody. Vanessa Kirby eventually steals a little keyboard thing, can use guns now, so that's great. Nobody just fires anything. Okay, so she starts running away, and she starts running out like these containers and little bitty roof things and all that stuff are inside this big-ass warehouse building that they're in. And she's running like it's very obvious she's on wires. There's no hopping and jumping, it's just run, 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 huge space, and then gentle landing, run, 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 run. So that's not a great choreographed stunt scene.
Cock and penis and balls.
Yeah. And all the shots miss her. Absolutely every single shot fired at her hits the very edge of the container that she's running on. Because that's also how things work and how aiming works. And no, all these are supposed to be trained soldiers for some super dark tech company. Not a single one of them can hit a person just kind of running kind of on top of things. So bullshit. Nothing but bullshit. Plot armor. Then we cut to Idris Elba. He's suddenly not on fire and is in fact perfectly fine. His clothes aren't scorched. His hair is still all there. He still has his eyebrows. It's like he was never on fire, though at one point you very clearly see his character on fire. Just so we're clear there. Yeah, even Roach still has eyebrows down. Yeah. And then he just kind of like looks grumpy, and then his magic motorcycle shows up for no fucking reason. Hobbs gets inside of like a little flatbed truck, and he starts running away with it because the explosions are about to go off. You know, the ones that they set way back before they broke into those rooms that has been ticking this whole goddamn time.
Yeah, and they somehow have kept track of time despite the fact that they were knocked out, tied up, and then tortured for a while.
Right. So it makes no fucking sense. He starts running through these huge concrete support beams without issue on this just flatbed truck. Not a tank. Nothing. Just a normal flatbed truck. Drives right through it. No damage. So, explosions going off, and oh, hey, look. And the explosions just keep happening.
They don't stop coming?
They don't stop coming. It keeps happening, and it happens at the speed of the action. So explosions apparently happen at 20 miles per hour. I did not know that.
I mean, of course.
Yeah. At one point, Shaw and his sister are driving away this little, like, dune buggy thing, but it, you know, looks kind of futuristic sci-fi, but not really. It really looks like they wanted a dune buggy, but had to just bullshit some stuff together. He turns around and just starts driving up some pipes at an angle along this giant nuclear base in, you know, Ukraine. So sure. And I just wrote fucking no. And then he jumps through like windows and he's in like drifting on these tight narrow ass walkways. And that's also not how cars move, so no. Timer from the bomb still going. So yeah. That happens. Idris Elba summons up the drones. He did that a little bit earlier, but this is when they actually start like catching up. They start firing at like Shaw's dune buggy thing, and they fire at the exact same spot behind them consistently. They even have missiles and machine guns. Can't hit them because apparently drones don't have predictive software or anything and can't do shit. So that's not how that works. Drones just can't aim because plot armor. Until one scene where the car does a jump and it turns its bottom to the drone, and that's when the drone finally able to shoot it because bullets won't go through the bottom of the car, obviously, despite all the, you know, Mythbusters-esque episodes that say that's not how that works. Why are you beating up that nice person?
Because they keep pretending like I was already jumping the rope.
Yeah, because you were. But then they still manage to destroy the drones, and the car still drives, and they're being shot up all to hell. And another drone shows up, also fires missiles, also can't, you know, hit it. Then we cut back to Hobbs in his flatbed trailer, or flatbed truck thingy, and all the bad guys are driving normal type SUVs, and they all get like right in front of him in a convenient spot to where he could just jackknife it, kind of, and like sideswipe all of them, kill them all. No damage to the flatbed whatsoever. I mean, they really lined up to give him the perfect chance to kill everything. And then they do a little catch thing, and oh, the Rock catches Vanessa's Kirby. Awkward, sexy moment where Vanessa Kirby is.
I really liked that.
Is straddling the Rock. I liked it. Still seemed out of place, but whatever. They have pretty good chemistry together. More magic motorcycle where it's following in the chase now and trying to catch up to like Shaw and Hobbs and all that stuff. Shaw's car is very obviously fucked up. Now it decides to stop running after the device runs out. And it's like, oh, keep driving, I'm going to jump onto the flatbed thing. So he does. The car drives, the little dune buggy thing that he's driving, does this little ramp thing, and just lands on the flatbed. Which also, no. That's not how that fucking works. So, it doesn't even land on it well, it lands on it like sideways, and just enough so that way he can just like step out of it, and then it falls down. So, no. Even more explosions from the bombs. Those are still going on, by the way. It's been like a solid 8 minutes of action, and the bombs are just going with the action. Then, Idris Elba catches up. They have a fight on the flatbed. I guess it's like they're fighting on a train moment, but they didn't want to actually use a train, so they used a flatbed. And you keep on cutting between their fight and the explosions. Their fight, explosions. Until eventually one of the towers, not like a full-on cooling tower, but like a smaller tower, comes crashing down, and it hits the back of the flatbed, and it kind of like fucks up the back of the flatbed, but not enough to stop it driving or for that bit to break off. But it lands on top of Idris Elba. And so Hobbs and Shaw and Vanessa all get away, and Idris Elba is shown just standing up after that rubble, you know, taking a tower to the back of his head.
I like that you're just calling her Vanessa.
Yeah. And apparently Idris Elba is fine. You can take giant towers and explosions to the back of the head, and he's fine.
He's mostly robot.
Okay, see, now I have problems with that because of stuff that happened near the end of the movie. Yeah, it's and debris is falling on him without a single fucking scratch, and I have that underlined. I remember staring at you when I wrote that.
But that's the point, though, is that, like, he got shot in the face and he looks fine, right? Because he's been so, like, ridiculously augmented by the robot that he's more machine than man now. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, yeah, still more at the end of the movie. But, like, at this point, just consider him Saren.
No.
Oh, I guess not.
Yeah, because in the end, when The Rock manages to punch him and that does serious damage, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah, but he's The Rock, so it's fine.
When Jason Statham manages to punch him,
that's a problem.
And it does serious damage, no, that's not how that works.
If it was The Rock, that'd be fine.
Yeah. Anyways, his strength is purely dependent on how much damage they want to show to Idris Elba's face, and that answer is usually 0. Because he's pretty. Okay. So then, she still has little eyeshadow wings going on, by the way, this whole time. Like 48 hours, whatever, she still has perfect eyeshadow. Very important to note. Because they went out of their way to make sure she has that. Now, they're stuck in Ukraine, and they need to find a way, because plot thing, they said, oh, I know where to go, and I know a person who can repair this machine that was supposed to get it out of her and all that stuff, because it got damaged in all the fight and all that. And Russian scientist dude died in the fight. So, we need to find somebody who can do it.
Yeah, Idris Elba just, like, nonchalantly just snapped his neck.
Yeah, it was great. So, so they're like, oh yeah, we gotta go to Samoa, where Hobbs' family is from, but he hasn't seen it in 25 years. Plot development thinking, but not really. So they have to go from Ukraine to Samoa. And they make sure to point out that Vanessa Kirby's character, Hattie or whatever her name was, so Vanessa, has right at about a day left. I don't know if you know much about where Samoa is, but it takes a bit to get there. If they had the CIA and they called a fighter jet or something like that, okay, sure. They didn't. They specifically make sure to include a scene with Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Saying that, oh yeah, I got you from Moscow to Samoa on a cargo plane. Okay, so they got from Ukraine to Moscow, which, not terrible, but okay. Over to Samoa in a cargo plane, and what the time of that I can best figure out would take them about 2 hours. No. So she's dead already, just so we're clear. But movie keeps happening. With a day left, that fight would kill that bitch. So that's what I have written down.
I see.
Not that Vanessa Kirby is a bitch, I just like using that word to describe literally everything in my life. My bunny is a bitch. He knows it.
That's true.
Yeah. The Rock's brother, who he hasn't seen in 25 years, is apparently a mechanical genius. He is just the best damn car mechanic. So obviously he knows how to, do biomedical engineering and fix this broken little virus extractor machine thing. My God, I have so many pages left.
Yeah, let's hurry this up because we're already at 1 hour and 14 minutes.
Nah, fuck that.
Look, man, we're already at basically the end of the movie.
Yeah. All right. The Samoans are portrayed pretty well. No big deal about that. It shows Idris Elba's character having open spinal surgery with robot-like stuff, and just open air room. So sure, they go into the side. The cut back to Hobbs inside of his shop. Sparks are flying everywhere because that's how you know it's a car shop. And oh yeah, now they're running this totally legit and super bustling custom car business, which explains why there's like 40 of them in that shop, and they're all brothers.
It is Fast and the Furious after all. They have to have cars,
right? And then they come up with the plan to hack the guns that the people are using because it requires the ID chip. So obviously that's fine. And then they start talking about, oh yeah, I was training with them. They're going to attack, right at dawn. Sure. Okay. But Vanessa Kirby's dead by then. She was dead a while ago. So that's when I start figuring out my timeline, is that they have all day to set up all the traps. Which means they got there with plenty of time to spare. So no, that didn't happen. She's dead. Skipping some stuff. And then it shows the brother fixing the machine. You can tell he's super smart because he does 3D printing. Ooh la la.
That's better than I can do.
Is it?
I've never 3D printed.
When Vanessa Kirby's character is setting up the hack for all the guns, she actually does the whole "I'm in" sort of thing. I just about lost it at that point. But they can only hack the guns for 6 minutes till the next satellite update, because that's how that works. Sure. Why not? So, oh, for time pressure reasons. And then this motherfucker, when I stare at him, decides to start doing ye old Russian lobster claw.
It was during a scene when The Rock and her were like, kind of, having some good stuff. So I did the old Russian lobster claw.
Right.
Which...
Russian lobster claw.
Yes.
I have it written down.
As you should.
Right, Russian lobster claw, this motherfucker over here.
Of course.
Right, and then Rock and Vanessa Kirby's character kisses.
I would love it if people don't know what that means. I don't even think anybody who watches this channel, we've explained it like 3 times. You don't know what it means.
Nope.
Bobby doesn't know what it means. I know what it means.
Right, and then they do a very poor job of explaining how the device gets the virus out of her. I put it together, and makes it look like it just sucks up the virus out of her arm, where it's been sitting since it was injected into her hand, so that doesn't make sense. I figured out it's working sort of like a dialysis sort of like thing, to where it's cycling through her bloodstream and collecting all of the things that cycles through it, and it takes about 30 minutes. So, more timing, plot device, thing. Ticking clock, whatever.
Okay, so, they put this together, and she says, I have 33 minutes left before the virus is in my system.
Right, because it's not just 72 hours approximately degrades.
It's exactly 72 hours.
Right.
So she says, I have 33 minutes, and this device takes 30 minutes.
Right, so she's dead.
And at this point, it is dark outside.
Right, it is super dark. And as soon as they, activate the machine, all the triggers start going off saying, oh, Idris Elba and his whole gang are here.
Right.
Oh, shit, it is dark.
Right.
Pitch black, the only lighting is there for the cameras.
Right.
Okay, so then you have this little brotherly love speech where The Rock reconnects with his brother, and then you have a little bit of Jason Statham and Vanessa Kirby speech where they're like, oh, brother and sister, and we're okay now. I learned some more truths about you, and hey, I don't disown you anymore, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, it just takes a while. And then, after all that time, which, by the way, Idris Elba and his people are currently storming the beaches to get to them, they have time for those whole speeches. So,
Oh yeah, and there are no guns.
Oh yeah. But you kind of saw that in the trailer.
Yeah, it's in the trailer.
Right. So, hacking the guns is their solution to that. They'll have 6 minutes to attack them with traditional Samoan and Maori weapons. So, hooray. But Idris Elba still shows up to the beach in, their little getaway house with a whole bunch of his little dune buggy cars and the custom motorcycles and shit. And a fucking helicopter. I'm fairly certain the helicopter wouldn't have the little ID chip gun in it, so let me be clear. They are dead. There is no way that they should have survived this. It's all plot armor. So, they just drive it up to him. There's no sneaking about, there's no go around the backside, there's no tactical maneuvers. His whole team just drives right up to the house, and then stops. And that gives them time to hack the guns, and then you get a little bit of, Samoan war dance thing going on with The Rock and his brothers. Not a full thing, they kept it pretty fast, so I appreciate a little bit of restraint there. But they set up a ring of fire around them, and then the bad guys, they call them the chopper, and it takes the length of time it takes for it to get from just offshore to the house. I imagine it's about the equivalent time it takes to get from Moscow to Samoa. So
yeah, no, it must have been by the time the sun, because the chopper shows up and the sun's coming up.
Right.
Right, and I would say it's 7 o'clock by where the sun is in the sky.
Right. So yeah, the chopper shows up. Sun's fully out now.
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, this is all within the 33 minutes that they mentioned earlier.
Right, because I'm about to get to the next time point. It shows her, and she's getting like kind of loopy and lethargic from the thing, and she's sort of just wandering the battlefield area, and she walks apparently right fucking up to the chopper because they just kind of like grab her right outside of it, and Idris Elba and a couple of bad guys just sort of like put her in there. That's it. She offers no restraint, the super MI6 soldier, and it shows that she has like 21 minutes. And give or take a little bit.
Yeah, so it's been 9 minutes.
Right.
Since it was dark outside.
To full sunlight.
Yeah.
Then a car drives into a building and it causes a massive and instant explosion because, of course, you have to have one of those. It's a Fast and Furious movie. The chopper provides no aerial support. And she just kind of like, yeah, they just, put her in it. So the helicopter starts to take off. It doesn't just lift up. It sort of like stays near the ground for some dumb fuck reason. So that way they could grab one of the brothers' tow trucks, who also has like tricked out wheels and all that stuff, and just races to catch up with the helicopter. Because why not? And that's the thing you're seeing in the trailer where The Rock throws the chain that wraps around the little helicopter arm, and then that grabs.
Thanks, Toad. I fucking know, idiot.
Yeah. And then, it's like, oh, he got us. That little tow truck is so much stronger than this helicopter. And Hobbs is able to start applying the tow truck chain and, like, reeling the helicopter in just a little bit. The tow truck never loses traction in this scene, by the way. Until Idris Elba decides to knock out the current pilot of the helicopter. They experience no turbulence during that. He just sort of, like, kicks him out and says, take a day off. And then he lifts up on the little thing. And at that point, the tow truck starts to lift up. Because it turns out for a helicopter to rise, all you have to do is lift it up. And it will lift shit. Go fucking figure. So a second tow truck shows up. That's also driven by one of the brothers. He just, like, kind of tosses 2 chains at the first tow truck that they're driving.
He just yeets them.
Yeah. So, and then it instantly latches onto it. Like, just boom, magic. Oh, fuck. Okay. And that's applying more weight, so that weight drags it down. So then it shows the helicopter still rising up. And then a third truck shows up and also attaches onto the second truck. So now you got 3 tow trucks all towing each other to try and fight this helicopter. Still not enough. A 4th tow truck shows up, does a little bit like auto latch thing that pops out from the bottom. Did you do? Third truck attaches, yeah, by an automatic like trailer hitch thing. And then they get close to a cliffside, so the helicopter tries to swing off of a cliff. And at one point, it's just the 4th little tow truck thing on its front wheels only, being dragged along, so it has no traction on this loose-ish rock dirt cliff, and it's very obviously about to go over.
And keep in mind at this point, by the way the sun is in the sky, it's about 9 a.m.
Right.
And also a storm has come in.
Right.
And this is all within the same half an hour.
The storm hasn't quite come in yet, but you kind of like see it and it's starting to brew up.
Right.
So it's in the same half an hour that it's taken 5 hours. So then the truck in front, the one with CO2 wheels, just activates like the NOS.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That allows it to get all the traction in the world, and it pulls the helicopter back in line, gets everybody back in the ground, and each truck in succession activates more NOS. It is during this time that the 6-minute time frame for the guns is up, so they're able to start using guns again, and the helicopter starts firing. All the tow trucks just instantly break apart. All the magic chains that let them hook up instantly, even though without any effort, they literally just chucked them at the other car and it just instantly worked. Now they break apart. Because reasons. And then now the helicopter's just hooked to the single tow truck again, and the helicopter hasn't really taken any damage quite yet. It's about to, because they're getting to a part where they had done a little setup before, like, oh yeah, if we drive over this part, it's going to shoot up stuff, and I guess it was supposed to explode cars, which it kind of does, but it gets high enough that it's going to damage the helicopter. But even still, the helicopter suddenly can no longer lift this one tow truck, even though it was lifting 3.5, not 10 seconds before. Though the time frame this movie happens, I'm assuming that was an hour ago. Then the chain on the tow truck breaks with the helicopter, and Hobbs, being The Rock, grabs the chain and does the Captain America thing and holds the helicopter down.
Yes.
Until Shaw can do like some fancy car work, loosen up the chain enough for Hobbs to get it back onto the little wheel attachment thing.
Yeah, and I was dubious.
Yeah, I think at that point a whole bunch of the people in the audience started laughing their asses off because it's fucking dumb. I
used the word dubious, and I think that Bobby was offended by the light choice of the word.
Right. Now it's at this point that once they get it all back on, Vanessa Kirby decides to, I'm no longer lethargic, and becomes MI6 Super Bitch again, and destroys all the bad guys in the plane in the helicopter except for Idris Elba. So, sure. So, timing works. And then the helicopter decides to crash. And at this point, Idris Elba is like, kind of recover her. She sees how much time she has left. She has about 4 minutes. So 16 to 17 minutes has passed in this helicopter chase. That's it. In that time, the sun has clearly risen like 6 hours worth of time. So, whatever. Shaw, Hobbs, Idris Elba's character, they all get into a drag down punch out fight. Idris Elba is punching the shit out of them in the face. Non-stop. Earlier in the movie, he punched The Rock once, sent him flying into a car, dented the shit out of it, and The Rock was down for the count. One punch. Now, they're taking multiple punches to the face. So, sure. But then, they have a little coming together moment. Hobbs and Shaw realize that they are indeed brothers, and that if they team up, one can take a punch while the other one is punching Idris Elba, and they all three go down together.
Idris can't do two things at once.
Right. Even though he's a super soldier and super well trained.
Robot.
Right. So, Idris would, knock out The Rock, Jason Statham would knock out Idris, and then also Jason Statham would fall down. Because I don't know if you noticed that, 5 times in that fight where they were showing that, hey, 2 people are getting punched, all 3 fall down for no reason. Because that's storming, I'm assuming, but still, they were getting, knocked the fuck out. There is another bad guy who survived the helicopter crash, who is just watching over a girl.
Yeah.
Who's just watching over Vanessa, so that when the virus thing is done running, he shoots her.
Right, but he doesn't want to kill her before it's done because they want the virus.
Right. Which, that kind of makes sense. Okay, but still, he could just look over and go, oh, hey, boss is having sort of a fight. Bang, I shoot the mountain that is The Rock, and then I go back to staring at this chick. Would take all of half a second. He has the only active gun in that fight. That doesn't happen. Instead, she sneakily grabs a little bitty electricity thing, a little electric cable, and right as the virus machine is up, connects it to the helicopter, and lights a very specific fire path, which lights off a fuse box, which happens to be right beside the dude, so it's like a directed blast hitting him and knocking him down. And
it's very convenient.
Right, and it's also very bullshit.
I thought she was going to shock the puddle that he was standing in.
Right. That would have made a bit more sense, but she's also in the puddle, so obviously you couldn't have that. They thought that far ahead. Why do that when you can have a magic fire trail against a downed helicopter hitting a fuse box that's going to explode in a very specific way? That's more reasonable. And then she does a little bit of chokes him out and all that stuff, so now she gets the gun because she also steals his key fob. So now there's another active gun. They managed to beat up Idris Elba during this time. So sure. But Shaw doesn't kill him because he's like, I've already killed you once, I'm not going to do it again. Even though he obviously didn't kill him once, he just failed to kill him once. You should really finish what you're doing. And The Rock does the whole, you can have all the technology in the world, but we have heart. And just so we're clear, in combat versus technology versus the heart, technology is going to win. Because that's how that works.
Yes.
And then Brixton, Idris Elba gets remotely shut down, conveniently on a cliff, so that way he falls backwards off of the cliff. The helicopter comes back to life, so that way you can hear the voice of Eaton, who is this mysterious bad guy, we've met before, Hobbs, you don't know me, but you're gonna. And he's like, yeah, you guys outperformed your metrics and all that stuff. So, yeah. And then they just walk away after taking all those dozens and dozens of super punches and kicks to the face, just laughing it off, barely have any bruises.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, and that's pretty...
And then the credits roll.
Yeah.
And you see some extra scenes during the credits.
Yeah, and you get more Ryan Reynolds, which is cute.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds stabs a guy with a brick. Helen Mirren is going to get busted out of jail.
Because they just straight up, in front of all the security guards, underneath the little bitty thing, hand her a cake that has a file in it.
Or C4.
Or
she
C4.
Asked for earlier.
Yeah, that's right. She asked for C4. So it's probably C4. That's how that works.
And then The Rock pays back Statham by having him be attacked outside of the
his little
pub by the cops, and they call him Hugh Janus.
Yeah.
And also the sequel is gonna happen.
Yeah,
So-
they're definitely teasing a sequel. It's a bad movie, except for Ryan Reynolds,
It is the best Fast and the Furious movie,
because of Ryan Reynolds.
but it is such a low bar that it's like a 3 out of 10, and all the other Fast and Furious movies are like 2 out of 10.
Yeah. You're being a bit generous with that 2 out of 10. But sure, the comparison is still fair.
Especially the safe one. That one's great.
Fuck you.
Look, man, you guys don't have any idea how pissed off he was about that safe thing.
I was mad for days.
And
I
it
was
still is.
livid. Yeah. It's like bringing up baby bell cheese with this motherfucker.
Yeah, that pisses me off.
Yeah.
Why won't you fucking hatch, you stupid flower? Jesus Christ.
It doesn't like you. But yeah, that's pretty much our review of Hobbs and Shaw. It's awful,
Perfect timing.
and I really don't think it should have ever been a movie. But I like Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah, she was good.
Yeah.
And I always am down for The Rock, and sometimes Jason Statham.
I want to see more of the Rock and Ryan Reynolds romance.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I like it a lot.
But anyway, so this is an hour and a half of
Yeah.
me running around New Donk City, getting that many moons.
Can you think of a better way to have done this?
Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Literally any other way. How about taking to just a normal channel format?
I needed 20.
Yeah.
Let's just watch all of these moons go in there. Let's just do that.
Yeah, a little bit of good time, fun times here. That's a lot of moons.
107 to
157? Is that right? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
But that's what we got. So let's go ahead and finally do our shoutouts. They're a bit predictable.
Yeah. And next time we'll do one of those two paths.
Yeah. So what's your shoutouts, good sir?
I'm gonna do a shout out to Hobbs and Shaw.
You motherfucker.
It was certainly a movie. I don't need to talk about it any more than that.
Yeah.
That's been the entire episode.
I could go into so much more detail. I could easily have made this a 3-hour episode.
Yes. It was worth watching, though I kind of wish that we'd watched it at home so that we could have talked shit about it the whole time,
Right.
rather than just taking notes and talking about it now. But all the same,
Well-
we'll just do that with the next Fast and the Furious.
Well, if you feel the need to share some comments with it and have other people bitch about it, why don't you just log back onto Yahoo Comments like you weren't gonna do,
I will not.
huh? He told me on the drive home, "Hey, I logged out of Yahoo Comments again." I'm like, "What do you mean again? Were you logged on?" And he's like, "Yeah." Now, bear in mind, this is the thing that he has told me to keep him from doing, but he's a sneaky little bastard.
I just don't say it.
Yeah. He just doesn't say anything, and he'll do it like on his computer screen, and I think he knows when I'm like getting up to walk around to go use the bathroom or whatever and can see his computer screen because he'll hide that shit.
Well, I don't hide it from him. I hide it from other people.
Yeah, that's true. Alright, but anyways, my shout out is going to go towards Vanessa Kirby. I know I've seen her in other stuff, but this is like the first big thing that I've seen her in and I've really noticed her. I think she did fine. I don't think the movie was good, but I still think she did fine.
It's more that she is fine.
She is also fine, but I think she did fine pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
I think she had really good chemistry with The Rock and Jason Statham.
Mm-hmm.
So I dug it. I dug it a lot.
All right. But yeah, all right, guys. This has gone on way long enough. Like, I know that we're coming up on our 500th episode. It'll be pretty great if this was that, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I
So,
don't remember either.
It'd be convenient if it was, but it's probably not.
Yeah, for 500 episodes, we fucking hate Fast and Furious.
That's it. That's the channel.
Oh, that'd be great.
Anyway, all right, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
You happy?
I am.